Welcome back, gamers, to another Gamer Jooce episode. You know we always get straight on into the content, and it is no different today. Top 10 free FPS games for low-end PCs. Number 10, Call of Duty. The greatest thing about one of the greatest games of all time, Call of Duty, is that the earlier models can practically run on the lowest end PCs. Up until Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you're pretty safe running a COD game on any older system. Modern Warfare 2 might work on some low ends, but the most playable ones are Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3. Modern Warfare 1 and 2 might work, but it's best to play it safe. If you're not familiar with the early and first Call of Duty trilogy, the game takes place in a World War II setting. You get surprisingly solid shooting and action mechanics with a linear storyline. Unlike the more modern version, online communities for these old games aren't very large, but you get 10 to 15 hours of playable time. Number 9, Warface. If you want a game that's similar to Call of Duty but is still unique, Warface is one of the best FPS games out there. Some people believe because they're stuck with low-end PCs, they can't have the violent, all-out, guns-blazing kind of games. But Warface absolutely annihilates this theory. It offers the chance to both strategically approach the game and just go around wrecking things. You can guess which one is most popular. Warface provides sharp visuals, intense PvE missions, raids, PvP mode, over 10 multiplayer modes, dozens of maps, and a ranked match system that entices you to come back and reap its rewards. Sure, Warface doesn't have any fancy jetpacks or wall running, but that just makes it more playable. And you get to run around with a massive, and may I add, customizable arsenal and classic shooter raids and more. Number 8, Paladins. We don't want to say poor man's Overwatch because Paladins is such an underrated awesome game that it deserves to stand on its own and not be related to others. In some aspects, it does some things better than Overwatch. This online multiplayer shooter is completely free. It takes place in a fantasy world where you can be a sniper, a track star armed with an assault rifle, an explosives expert, and basically anything you want. Paladins accommodates all kinds of playing styles. Your champion can be a healer in one match, and then in the next you can be anything else you want. It depends on how you alter your character's loadout. The pacing is quite balanced as well. The characters are diverse. It's incredibly welcoming to newcomers. Its customization is one of the best in all FPS games. You'll never get bored with this quirky, fast-paced game. Number 7, Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 is the ultimate package, even if it's a 13-year-old game. With a compelling storyline, interesting characters, critically acclaimed art, and humor, it will be more than worth your time. So what is it about? Fighting and shooting people for hours on end. You take on the role of a member of one of two teams, red or blue, and you have the option to choose one of 9 character classes. With the hundreds of weapon offers and the option to buy, craft, collect, and trade items, there's not a moment you'll be bored with this game. In addition, there are tons of cool game modes such as Capture the Flag, King of the Hill, and more. Recently, Team Fortress has revamped with a new update that attracted flocks of loyal players. Check it out for yourself. Number 6, Crysis. At number 6, we have the iconic Crysis. This game was revolutionary when it came out in the late 2000s, but now it's evolved enough, or rather, computers have evolved enough, that even the oldest ones can comfortably run Crysis. Crysis's core gameplay involves having the players facing off against North Korean insurgents with a group of aliens called the Ceph. The character you're playing has a nanosuit that can transition between defense, cloaking modes, strength, and speed. This allows for an open-ended type of gameplay. Crysis also involves some of the best shooting mechanisms amongst these old games. Number 5, Dirty Bomb, formerly known as Extraction. After an atomic explosion known as the Dirty Bomb caused an epidemic contamination of toxic gas in London, an extraction plan was ordered. Mercenaries were hired to step and cover this radiation incident. Enter the player. You're a ruthless mercenary among those hired. Depending on which side you're on, the shootouts are brutal, the mercenaries are cruel, and there's always plenty of money to be made no matter which side you're fighting for. Quite frankly, Dirty Bomb never got the recognition it deserved. Its unique way of taking away controller support and aim assist allowed players to sharpen their reaction skills, and rather than just planting a bomb, you get to heal your teammates, repair things, and engage in epic battles. There are 2 game modes you can play as one of the 20 unique mercenaries. Objective, which features battling your way through parts of the city, finishing objectives before the time runs out, and Stopwatch, which is an insane version of objective mode for the competitive type who wants to take things up a notch. Number 4, Portal. So, an FPS, but instead of a rifle, you get a portal gun that you use to solve puzzles. Next up is Portal. Made by the same genius team behind Half-Life, Portal is a brilliant puzzle game that will challenge even the most seasoned player. This FPS is praised for its originality, cool gameplay, and witty and humorous dialogue. You get hours of quirky and unique gameplay as Portal repeatedly ups the ante of challenging your way of method solving. As you take on the role of Chell, you get handled the Aperture Science handheld portal device, which is a fancy way to say that you get a portal gun that you can create portals between 2 planes. You have to figure out how to solve the physical challenge of opening portals, manipulating objects, and yourself through space. Number 3, Project I'm Going In. 20 years later, hearing an enemy soldier shout, "Hey, you!" still gives us the shudders. Project I'm Going In, also known as Project IGI, is one of those OG and iconic FPS games with a groundbreaking strategic gameplay that changed the FPS industry. As awesome as they are, games like PUBG and Fortnite can't be compared to the old charm of nostalgic games like Project IGI. You take the role of an operative specializing in a stealth force who has to infiltrate enemy camps without being noticed or triggering any alarms. This game focused a lot on the FPS aspect, so much so that it doesn't focus much on the combat aspect like some similar games, but the gunplay more than makes up for it. Despite being released in 2000, the graphics are still amazing, and the background score is one of the best of the games at the time. Each level is uniquely challenging, and even the sounds the weapons make and the game's equipment are awesome. If you're one of those who enjoy strategic thinking, solid FPS games, and working out how to be stealthy instead of using brute force, Project I'm Going In is definitely the game for you. Number 2, Fistful of Frags. Nearly the top of our list. As one of the top free FPS games for low-end PCs, we have the wild Fistful of Frag. If you're not familiar with this 2007 game, it's because until recently, it wasn't a free game. Now, it's available on Steam, and it's got all kinds of exciting upgrades. You don't need to register or go through any microtransactions. You can just install and play. Some ads might pop up, but it's understandable considering how much content you're getting. First of all, what is Fistful of Frags? As fast-paced and chaotic as it is, surprisingly enough, it was a Wild West-themed modification and a multiplayer mod for the game Half-Life 2. However, it's been improved and stands alone as its own game. What's the gameplay like? You get to kick cowboys in the face in a tale as old as time, a frenzied fight of team versus shootouts or games against AI-controlled enemies. In Fistful of Frags, you get to run around as you wish, shooting people, taunting enemies into brawls, engage in deadly knife fights, and more. Shooting options are diverse. There are volcanic repeaters, Colt Navy revolvers, dual derringers, and even bows and arrows. Fistful of Frags also has the unique aspect of allowing you to choose which hands you want to hold your gun with, which is honestly pretty cool and should be done more. Number 1, Half-Life 1. Our final and top pick for the best FPS game for low-end PCs, and for free, we have the iconic Half-Life. You play as Gordon Freeman, a mute scientist burdened with the glorious and harrowing task of protecting the Earth from an alien invasion and escaping from a research facility. Half-Life featured pretty impressive and solid storytelling and entertaining gameplay. It was one of the first games to use scripted sequences from Freeman's point of view, so you get almost uninterrupted control of him. You get a linear storyline, tons of cool diverse weapons, challenging puzzles to solve like navigating mazes, or having to use boxes to build a makeshift staircase to the next area you need to get to. Sometimes the game pushes you to use your environment to kill an enemy. There's a reason Half-Life is regarded as one of the best video games ever made, and is one of the most influential FPS games of all time. It's even inspired games like Counter-Strike. And there's an online mode that supports multiplayer and individual and team-based deathmatches. Alright gamers, we hope you enjoyed the list because that's going to wrap it up. If you did in fact watch the video all the way through, we appreciate you so much, and hope you enjoyed it enough to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell because we're always releasing more content. As always, we'll see you in the next one.